Oh, hello. When talking about new cards and power levels, many Magic the Gathering players tend to focus on the rares and mythics of a set, but card rarity is not necessarily a reflection of a card's power. And with Duskmourn, one of the best new cards is not only a game changer, but an uncommon? But don't let the rarity fool you. This card is not only extremely powerful removal in white on a 99-cent uncommon, but I feel it is going to be a real game changer for the Pioneer format. Sheltered by Ghosts is a 2-mana aura enchantment that reads, when it enters, exile target non-land permanent an opponent controls until it leaves play. It also gives enchanted creature +1/+0, ward 2, and lifelink. That's a lot of benefits attached to this 2-mana play. Ho! This card is a sweet design as it's a very powerful effect that is also extremely narrow. This removal spell is clearly tailor-made for a proactive deck rather than a reactive one. That's because you're going to have a creature in play in order to cast it, which means you're already clocking your opponent quickly as they struggle to find a way to remove your creature through that Ward 2 ability. The absolute best home for this card is in an archetype that hasn't been playable in Pioneer in several years, but I believe it's strong enough to bring that deck back from the dead. I'm referring, of course, to the Pioneer Auras deck, Pioneer's version of a Voltron strategy in Commander. The deck I'm referring to isn't a Bogle's deck. That is, a deck with cheap hexproof creatures that you load up with powerful auras. It's possible that this card is good enough to also make Pioneer Bogles a playable archetype as well, but I'm specifically referring to the Auras deck built around Lightpaws, Emperor's Voice. Lightpaws is one of the best creatures in Pioneer that currently sees hardly any play. He's like Shram, Senior Edificer, on steroids. Every aura you cast tutors up a fresh aura of lesser or equal mana value from your deck attached to Lightpaws. With Lightpaws in play, any aura you cast that costs 2 mana can also be a copy of Sheltered by Ghosts. Previous versions of the Auras deck never ran much, if any, mainboard interaction. Sheltered by Ghosts revolutionizes the archetype, giving Auras players a highly flexible removal spell that also advances their own game plan, buffing your creature's power, gaining you life, and protecting it from future removal. In a Boros variant of the deck, you can tutor up Sheltered by Ghosts as early as turn 2 if you plot a Demonic Ruckus the turn before you cast Lightpaws. The Boros variant also gets to run Hammerhand or Cartouche of Zeal to push through blockers and give your summoning 6 suited up creatures haste. Another new card, Shard Mage's Rescue, is a fantastic protection spell that also triggers Lightpaws at instant speed. Perhaps tutoring up Akaya's ghost form in response to a supreme verdict? Pioneer will still be a hostile place for Voltron strategies like Auras due to highly efficient interaction like Fatal Push and Lightning Axe, as well as plenty of powerful sweepers. But Sheltered by Ghosts gives the deck some premium interaction of its own, while also helping insulate it from opposing removal. That's enough of a game changer that I believe a Lightpaws Auras deck could be a real player in post-Duskborn Pioneer. But Sheltered by Ghosts isn't the only new card that I think will haunt the new Pioneer metagame. I've found 5 more cards from Duskborn that I believe will be difference makers in Magic's youngest Eternal format. Yeah, I know Pioneer is not an Eternal format, more accurately it's a non-rotating format, but many Magic the Gathering players use the phrase Eternal to refer to non-rotating, so it's a colloquialism. It's a colloquialism, and we accept that. Now, this video is going to have no repeats from my previous video about the best new cards from Duskborn for Standard, though several of those cards will be relevant in Pioneer as well. Leyline of Resonance, for example, also enables the same turn 2 kill in Pioneer, and does so even more consistently here. And in Pioneer, a Rakdos Fling deck is already putting up lots of results, even without the Leyline. I believe the turn 2 Leyline kill will be even more of a player in Pioneer than it will be in Standard, but in this video, I want to focus on cards I didn't talk about in my Standard video. If you want to hear more about that turn 2 Leyline kill, you can watch our Standard video here. here. But now let's get started for real with Pioneer. So let's get started with an ad for my Duskmourn giveaway. That's right, this September 30th at 3 p.m. Pacific on Whatnot, I'll be giving away one of every single Duskmourn product. That's a lot of products. Just look, I'll be giving away a play booster box of Duskborn, a collector booster box of Duskborn, a complete set of all the commander decks from Duskborn, that bundle that looks like a television set. Is it really a television set? Oh my God, it's a television set. Are they doing starter kits for this set? Oh, I don't know, but if they are, I'll get one, and I'm gonna give it away too. Whatnot is just like if Twitch and eBay had a baby. Sellers can list items for sale in their store or auction them off on live streams, and if you create a new account using my invite code, you get $15 to spend on anything you want on Whatnot, from Magic the Gathering packs and accessories to singles and other cool things. Just go to www.whatnot.com/invite/Tolarian College and you'll get $15 credit to spend anywhere, though you can spend it on my stream while you hang out with me and maybe win one of anything and everything from Duskborn. Just tune in this September 30th at 3 p.m. Pacific for this major Duskborn product giveaway on Whatnot, sponsor of this video. At the top of our list is It Phoenix getting you down? Tired of seeing them draw 4, 5, even 6 cards per turn with impunity? Well, the card I'm going to talk about has you covered. Or should I say, has them covered in needles. That's right, it's Razorkin Needlehead. 2/2 human assassin for double red with a very simple ability. Whenever your opponent draws a card, this razor-sharp friend deals them a damage. Oh, and he has first strike during your turn. When Sheoldred the Apocalypse was previewed in Dominaria United, virtually everyone underrated her. She gains you life when you draw and loses them life when they draw. So what, right? Well, then people played with her and realized punishing your opponents when they draw cards is actually ridiculously good. See, card advantage is one of the most important aspects of the game, so any reasonably costed card that makes said card advantage more painful is going to be good. Yes, Razorkin Needlehead punishes your opponents only half as much as Sheoldred does, but it also costs half as much mana, and a lot less than half in terms of price, even going by these inflated pre-sale numbers. Whoa! Oh, wow! He comes down on turn 2 and immediately demands an answer, otherwise your opponent will be in for a world of pain. And unlike Sheoldred, Razorkin Needlehead isn't legendary. The more of these in play, the more blood you'll take from your opponent for each card they draw. Razorkin Needlehead is, at a minimum, an awesome sideboard card against Is It Phoenix and blue-white control, but I believe it could be strong enough to see main deck play. Now I know this is not exactly new information, but it bears repeating. Every deck in Pioneer draws at least one card a turn. No, it's true, and many decks in Pioneer incidentally draw other cards as well. Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Reckoner Bankbuster, Pore Over the Pages, Deadly Dispute, Illuminator Virtuoso. The list goes on and on. Traditional mono-red aggro, that is to say not a red prowess deck, is not a very highly played archetype in Pioneer. It simply hasn't had the tools to keep up with the more powerful decks in the format, especially a deck like Is It Phoenix. But now, Razorkin Needlehead might be exactly what the doctor ordered. Well, at least it's exactly what a sadistic doctor on Duskborn probably ordered. Coming up next, we have Overlord of the Boiler Bilge, a 6-mana 5/5 red enchantment creature, an avatar horror that's reminiscent of an iconic Magic the Gathering card, Inferno Titan. When it enters and attacks, deal 4 damage to any target. You can also impend this for 2 generic and 2 red. If you do, it enters with 4 impending counters, and it's not a creature until the last one is removed. You remove an impending counter at the beginning of your end step. For the record, I believe all of the Overlords in this set can and likely will see some play in Pioneer, but Overlord of the Boiler Bilge is my pick for the most impactful of them for the format. That's because of its utility in the Enigmatic Fires deck. That deck is best known for its marquee play, turning a Leyline Binding into an Atraxa Grand Unifier with an Enigmatic Incarnation. This Overlord is the only one that costs 6 mana, meaning it's the only one that can be cast for its impending cost cast, and then sacrificed at the end of turn to Enigmatic in order to tutor up an Atraxa. The Enigmatic Fires deck is a Yorion Sky Nomad deck, so it gets to do its signature Leyline Binding into Atraxa play less often than it would if it were a 60-card deck. Overlord of the Boiler Bilge provides additional redundancy for the combo, while also being a great card in its own right. At 6 mana, the full creature mode is very castable. The Enigmatic deck often struggles to win quickly once it's ahead, but Boiler Bilge does not struggle with that at all, swinging for 9 damage every time it attacks, or 5 damage while popping an opponent's creature or planeswalker for 4. Because it's both an enchantment and a creature, you can also tutor for this card with Enigmatic Incarnation. You just need a 5-cost enchantment in play to do so. Previously, the Enigmatic deck didn't run any enchantments at the 5 mana value slot, but that could also change with this set thanks to 3 of the other Overlords: Overlord of the Flood Pits, Overlord of the Bale Murk, and Overlord of the Haunt Woods. All of these are 5 mana value enchantment creatures that can be impended for 3 or less mana, meaning they curve well into Enigmatic Incarnation. Of these 3, Overlord of the Haunt Woods is the most likely of these to make it into the deck, as it would offer the same thing it offers Standard Domain Ramp: full domain off of a single card. But unlike in Standard, its primary purpose would be to offer this ability once and then get sacrificed to Enigmatic Incarnation to tutor up Overlord of the Boiler Bilge in all its full creature glory. And yes, these Overlord cards all trigger up the Beanstalk in Pioneer, just as they do in Standard. But something else to consider with them that's Pioneer specific: they are fantastic with Yorion. Yorion doesn't mind if they have time counters on them. She's happy to blink them away and return them on end step, again in their full creature glory. Alright, there's just 2 top cards left to discuss, but have you noticed a theme yet? Even thinking back to the beginning of this video? Well, tell me what pattern you notice as we look at... If Sheltered by Ghosts is revitalizing a long-dead archetype, this next card may resuscitate a deck that's on life support. Roaring Furnace Steaming Sauna is one of the new Room enchantments. These are split cards where you can cast either half to have it enter unlocked. You may pay the mana cost of the locked half anytime you could cast a sorcery to unlock that as well. Rooms on the battlefield only have the traits of their unlocked sides, and enter fully locked if they enter play without being cast, such as when blinked with Yorion. Given that, let's take a look at what each half of this room does, shall we? Roaring Furnace is a removal spell for 1 red that reads, when you unlock this door, Roaring Furnace deals damage equal to the number of cards in your hand to target creature an opponent controls. The other half, Steaming Sauna, costs 3 and double blue and reads, you have no maximum hand size. At the beginning of your end step, draw a card. This card serves one purpose extremely well, being a strong 2-mana removal spell for a deck that can't play real 2-mana removal. I'm speaking, of course, of decks companioned by Keruga, the Macro Sage. Keruga is a powerful companion held back by an extremely restrictive deck building requirement. Pioneer, and indeed all of Magic, is defined by cheap, efficient cards. That's just the name of the game. Keruga barring you from playing these cards puts you so far behind that it doesn't matter if his ability is really strong. That's why Keruga is highly reliant on removal spells with artificially reduced mana costs, like Leyline Binding, Bone Crusher Giant, and Virtue of Persistence. On this front, Roaring Furnace contributes in spades. On turn 2 in a Keruga deck, this will regularly deal 5 damage on the play and 6 damage on the draw. In fact, it will continue to deal 5 on the play and 6 on the draw on later turns, provided you haven't cast any other spells prior and only made land drops. If you pay Keruga's companion tax to put the hippo in your hand, that's an additional card in hand that can help you shoot down even bigger threats. The most notable Keruga deck in Pioneer is the Quintorius combo deck. In that deck, both sides of Roaring Furnace, Steaming Sauna will be impactful indeed. The Steaming Sauna side is a great fallback option when you're faced with interaction. Against decks with lots of counterspells, the Quintorius deck can often run out of gas. Unlocking Steaming Sauna from a Roaring Furnace you cast early in the game is a great way to keep your hand stocked, while also giving you something to do with your mana that can't be disrupted by counter magic. Your opponent will have to deal with the Sauna quickly, otherwise you'll run circles around them in the card advantage race. And on top of all of that, Steaming Sauna is an enchantment that triggers Keruga when she enters play. That's nothing to sneeze at. Hopefully you've noticed that a lot of the cards I discussed in this set are enchantments, auras, rooms, enchantment creatures. There's a ton of them in this set. So it stands to reason then that enchantment strategies in Pioneer are going to reap the benefits. Don't worry though, this last card I'll discuss today isn't an enchantment. It's not an enchantment. It's a creature that cares about enchantments. Our number one pick for Pioneer from Duskmourn is Marina Vendrell, a 3/5 legendary human warlock for Wooburg mana, or in other words, one of each color mana. When she enters, reveal the top 7 cards of your library. Put all enchantment cards from among them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Now, she also has an activated ability, but it likely won't come up much in Pioneer. That is, you can tap her to automatically lock or unlock a room that's in play. Marina Vendrell is highly reminiscent of a card that has seen fringe play in Pioneer for years, Niv Mizzet Reborn. There are some differences, of course. Her stat line is a lot worse than Niv's, and her ability looks at 7 cards instead of 10. But despite looking at fewer cards, she's likely to hit just as many cards as Niv would when she enters play, because there's no restrictions on duplicates or requiring different color combinations. The biggest reason this card will see play is that there's a hole in the Enigmatic Fires deck at the 5 mana slot for a card advantage card to tutor for when you want to sacrifice Fires of Invention or a redundant Enigmatic Incarnation. Marina Vendrell plugs that hole exceptionally well. She's easy to cast in the deck's 5-color mana base, especially if there's a Fires of Invention in play. If you naturally draw her, she can help dig toward your Enigmatic Incarnation, a card the deck sometimes struggles to find its first copy of. She's also an obscene card to blink with Yorion. Even her 3/5 body, though not well suited for attacking, is a sturdy blocker against aggressive decks. I don't expect the Enigmatic Fires deck to play many rooms, but it's not out of the question for it to run Roaring Furnace, Steaming Sauna, specifically for the Roaring Furnace half of the card. If so, then the fact that she can unlock the Steaming Sauna half for free, or reset your Roaring Furnace by relocking it so that you can trigger it again, will certainly come up. All in all, Marina Vendrell is a highly impactful card for a Pioneer deck that has been good but not great for a couple years now. With her entering the format, it's about to bring this deck to the next level, and that is one of the best possible things a new card can be. So what do you think? Is there a card that I missed that's going to see play in Pioneer? Let me know which card you think that is in the comments below. And also, be sure to check out our video on the top new cards for Standard, because many of these are going to see Pioneer play as well, especially that new Leyline card that's taking the format by storm. We discuss its turn 2 combo in that video, as well as many other spicy new picks, so be sure to give it a watch. And be sure to give a watch to me on Whatnot this September 30th at 3 p.m. Pacific, because I'm giving away one of every product from the Duskborn lineup. You can get a $15 credit to spend on anything on the site when you create an account at www.whatnot.com/invite/Tolarian College. I'll even have some great new goodies in my store, but best of all, you just have to hang out with me, the professor, and maybe walk away with some sweet Duskborn merch. Thank you, Whatnot, for sponsoring this video.
Ooh, next time on Shuffle Up and Play.
Today, I don't know what's going to happen today because Wubby wouldn't tell me.
We will be opening a sealed beta booster pack.
Sorry, I had to touch it. I just wanted to touch it.
Unsearched, so this could have a Lotus.
Whoa.
For the winner?
For me.
Slayer! Stronghold. Slay!
It's the boomer screaming slay for me.
Stop calling me a boomer.
Block your Ocelot pride.
Why are you tapping to block? Actually, can we see that again in slow motion?
By the way, Prof, you missed your mana crypt trigger.
By the way, go to hell. Lua, that was very dank of you.
Dank and slay the house down.
Now you sound
Yeah.
like a parent. You're aging.
I'm getting
You're
there.
getting older
Yeah,
and
I'm
more
getting there.
cringe. And not the good kind of cringe like Wubby.
What the hell? What a drive-by!